Today, Children's Day was celebrated all across Poland. This day in Poland is primarily a celebration of 7 million underage children, but it is advisable to celebrate it with adult children as well. To mark the occasion, the Polish president Andrzej Duda and his wife sent wishes to all children on this special day.
Kochane dzieci,
Dear children, on the occasion of your holiday, we wish you fulfillment of dreams, true friendships, and only cheerful days, full of fun and joy of discovering the world. May you always be surrounded by love and understanding in your homes. May your preschool or school be a friendly place for you, one where your classmates like, respect, and support each other. We wish that no worries disturb your carefree childhood. May a smile be on your face as often as possible. May today's gifts, attractions, and fun remind you once again how important and loved you are. We wish you a happy Children's Day. All the best. Be it day or night, cold in winter or heat in summer, soldiers of the Polish Army, Border Guard, police, territorial defense forces, and other Polish services defend the Polish border in the east. For almost 3 years, the Polish-Belarusian border has been under constant pressure from illegal migration. Here on the border, our officers face a hybrid war, inspired by the services of Belarus and Russia. Every day. Do we know roughly how big this group is? About 3 or 4, sometimes more. These are photos from the Polish-Belarusian border, where our reporter Michał Jelonek spent last night. There he met, among others, our soldiers, who are on duty 24 hours a day. There was no shortage of words of thanks for TV Republika, which has been reliably reporting on the situation on the eastern border. There is no more TVP, so I watch TV Republika. Attempts to cross the border often take the form of assaults by dozens of people using various tools and trying to force the border. The footage shows an organized group, aggressive, throwing various objects at Polish soldiers. 5 officers were injured this week. A soldier stabbed by a migrant is fighting for his life in the hospital. Several questions come to mind. Why were firearms not used in the attack to protect the soldiers' health and life? If there is a direct attack where someone is able to stab a Polish soldier or officer with a knife, it means that all the characteristics of the situation defined as necessary defense have been exceeded. The former head of the Military Intelligence Service, General Andrzej Kowalski, mentioned several aspects that may have influenced this, including existing procedures or training of soldiers. Is he really convinced that the Polish nation is behind him, and that if there is a tragedy, for example, the person who attacked is shot, won't the soldier or officer suffer some bizarre consequences, for example? And such an atmosphere could have been effectively created over the years by the left liberal community, combined with mainstream media and activists. After all, it was deputies of the ruling parties, especially the Civic Coalition, such as Franciszek Sterczewski, who tried to get food to migrants at the border. The men came out with guns. Weapons are an integral part of a soldier's equipment. The MP apparently did not have this knowledge. Only one of the people on duty had to explain it to him. A soldier is equipped with a weapon. If he didn't have one, he wouldn't be a soldier. The opposition at the time attacked and ridiculed the soldiers who defended the Polish borders. Sir, you are talking to an MP. I am not some random person. May I ask you to identify yourself? Maybe I will come closer and record you closer. I will scan your face and maybe you can be found. They were aided by the mainstream media. I have the impression that this is a pack of dogs that has cornered poor and weak people. This is not how soldiers act. Trash, simply put. And also activists. Donald Tusk did not believe the wall on the border would be built. He claimed that migrants were poor people looking for their place on earth. Today, the Polish Prime Minister has completely reversed the narrative. That's why Law and Justice is calling on those in power to apologize, since it was the Civic Coalition that voted against the construction of the wall on the border, among other things. Donald Tusk should apologize to all of us for how his people destabilized the Polish border and how he made statements about defending our border or building the barrier. He acted hand in hand with those who destabilized that border, although words of reflection are in vain among his MPs. This is not the proper way that people should be getting into Europe. And when will you go back with Mr. Joński to distribute pizza at the border? But there was no pizza there. But when will you go to the Polish-Belarusian border? And why should I go there now? Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced a few days ago a plan to modernize the eastern border worth 10 billion zloty. Now you can see what a mistake they made, attacking Polish border guards and Polish authorities who wanted to push these illegal migrants away from Poland. Many may be surprised then that the new government in Poland has stepped into the shoes of law and justice on the issue of border protection. The ongoing campaign ahead of the European parliamentary elections may be the answer. Before, Poland was attacked, and now the European Union is being attacked. Therefore, one may say that Donald Tusk's point of view is dependent on his post. Between the 29th and 30th of May, more than 310 attempts to enter Poland illegally were reported on the Polish-Belarusian border. Łukasz Muda, TV Republika. Following the lifting of the so-called procedure of the EU treaty from Article 7, launched by Brussels against Poland, the German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung wrote, "The European Commission's decision to end the procedure against Poland impressively showed who really matters. It was not Brussels that solved the problem, but the Poles, who elected a different government." According to the official version, Brussels recently assessed that there was no longer an obvious risk of violating the rule of law in Poland, and that the Donald Tusk-led coalition had taken important steps to restore the rule of law. Shortly before, European Commission Vice President Vera Jourova said,
"Now, I think after everything that has happened in the last 6 months, we can see that the government is reversing the negative trend. All the changes aim at strengthening judicial independence."
In December 2017, the European Commission launched a procedure against Poland regarding alleged violations of the rule of law in our country. To emerge from it, Poland's ruling United Right was expected to fulfill more than 280 so-called milestones. Brussels made the payment of EU money owed to Poland conditional on their fulfillment. The masks have fallen. It is clear that neither Brussels nor Berlin wanted to make any changes. It was about political action, to bring about a change of government in Poland, to one that would listen more to the voices coming from across the western border. Because it's hard to point to reforms regarding the rule of law that have been introduced by Donald Tusk's cabinet, which has been in power in Poland since December 13th. The illegal takeover of the prosecutor's office or the takeover of public television, but also a lot of moves that are illegal and circumvent the powers of the president. So we cannot say in the slightest that the rule of law has been restored, if it has ever been violated. On the other hand, let's be aware that these procedures behind the action of the European Commission are Donald Tusk's colleagues. The EU authorities in Brussels are not talking about the public media or the prosecutor's office that have been taken over illegally and without statutory changes. Perhaps this is because Poland, ruled by the Civic Coalition and now smiling, has agreed to the European Union's flagship projects. What we have been saying from the beginning has been confirmed, that this procedure for alleged violations of the rule of law was not really about any rule of law in Poland. It was about such a political cudgel to scare the Polish government, to influence the elections of Poles. Germany is governed by a coalition led by Olaf Scholz, the former justice minister in Angela Merkel's previous cabinet and now deputy speaker of the European Parliament, Katharina Barley of the SPD, who is alleged to have said in a German radio interview that Poland and Hungary should be financially starved. Now she says, "The greatest living social democrat? There are too many. Or actually, I know of a social democrat. I'm a huge fan of Manuela Schwesig." The chairwoman of the German government, Manuela Schwesig, is called Gerhard Schröder in a skirt in Germany because of her ties to the Russian Nord Stream gas pipeline project. She founded the Stiftung Klimaschutz Foundation, which, despite the sanctions imposed on the Russian-German gas pipeline, led to its completion. Recently, a group of senators from the new Polish government took pictures with her. It turns out that in the modern world, you don't have to conquer a country with tanks. It can be done in other ways. And this is what the German state is trying to do, based on the question is whether Polish politicians. The European Union reforms adopted by the Tusk government, the Migration Pact and the Green Deal, were very much relied upon by our Western neighbor Germany, still the largest economy in the European Union, which after Brexit no longer has any competition. This is simply planned. Poland is to be small and weak, just as the Germans planned even before World War I, and the government is external, or to be more precise, primarily German. Because today I don't think anyone has any illusions that the main force in a united Europe is Germany. Indeed, this huge market, the largest and richest in Europe, is managed by German companies and officials, and it simply must be made so that a small country like Poland cannot grow economically and prestige-wise without the approval of the great sovereign. Earlier this year, speaking at a session of the UN General Assembly, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that Germany is ready to take on more responsibility and join the UN Security Council as a permanent member alongside the United States, Great Britain, France, Russia, and China. Radosław Jankiewicz, TV Republika. The four members of iconic Swedish pop group Abba reunited on Friday, May 31st, to receive one of the country's top honors, the Royal Vasa Order, during a ceremony in the Royal Palace in Stockholm. Agnetha Fältskog, Björn Ulvaeus, Benny Andersson, and Annie Fridlingstad, who rarely make public appearances together and are now in their 70s, were handed their orders from King Carl Gustaf XVI for very distinguished contributions within Swedish and international music life, according to the royal court. Very emotional, because this was from the Swedish people. How was it for all four of you to meet up today? It was as it usually is, calm and nice. How was it like receiving the order? It was a nice ceremony, calm and nice and thorough, and we got to hear some history about how it started, and who started it, and how the Royal Vasa Order came to be, and that was nice. The hugely popular group, which formed in 1972 and split in the early 1980s, has sold an estimated 385 million records and still has legions of fans around the world, with enduring hits such as Dancing Queen, Thank You for the Music, and Fernando. Sweden this year resumed the awarding of chivalry orders to Swedes after a 50-year pause. 2024 also marks 50 years since Abba won the Eurovision Song Contest final in Great Britain in 1974 with the song Waterloo, bringing them to global attention. Since its first opening in 1999, the musical Mamma Mia, composed by Ulvaeus and Andersson, has been seen by over 70 million people around the world, according to its creators. It has also led to 2 blockbuster movies. In total, Sweden has 4 orders of chivalry, established in the 18th century. The Royal Order of Vasa is the last of the 4 orders in Sweden. Members of the public propose recipients, and the formal decisions are made by the government.